Tamaki was a man everyone had already given up on. At work, people whispered that he was unreliable, soft around the edges, both physically and mentally. At home, his wife treated him like a burden, and his daughter openly despised him. He was overweight, aging, and constantly anxious, the kind of man society quietly shoved aside and pretended not to notice. Even Tamaki himself had come to believe it. He saw his life as nothing more than the slow unraveling of a man past his prime. And yet, despite all this, something strange was about to begin. One day, Tamaki was suddenly informed that he had been appointed project leader. The news hit him like a shock, not because he wanted the role, but because everyone else seemed to know before he did. As he left his supervisor's office, he overheard coworkers gossiping. They admitted he was kind, but they doubted his leadership. To them, he embodied the cliché of a middle-aged man having a quiet, pitiful crisis. Tamaki agreed with them. He believed he was too anxious, too weak, too old to lead anyone. Still, he resolved to try, if only to avoid becoming a burden. Almost immediately, trouble arose. A coworker, Yawa Rito, informed him that their vendor had failed to deliver equipment properly, meaning the staff would have to carry it themselves. Naturally, the younger employees were expected to volunteer. But this time, Tamaki hesitated. If there was ever a moment to prove himself, this was it. He forced himself to speak up, raising his voice louder than usual to gather attention. He acknowledged everyone's frustration and suggested they work together, joking weakly that it would be good exercise. Though some objected, arguing the younger staff could handle it, Tamaki insisted he wouldn't sit by and do nothing. Leadership, he believed, required participation. At the venue, he took charge again, assigning tasks and encouraging teamwork. But the moment he lifted the heavy equipment, reality struck. His back nearly gave out. Iawa quickly stopped him, urging him to leave the heavy lifting to the younger employees. Reluctantly, Tamaki complied, settling for smaller items. Then came the stairs. With the elevator broken, Tamaki was among the first to suggest carrying everything up manually. He insisted he was fine, even as exhaustion overtook him. Step by step, his body betrayed him. His breathing grew labored, his posture collapsed, and his dignity crumbled in full view of his coworkers. Eventually, they begged him to stop and sit down. On his way back to the office, Tamaki overheard more whispers. People mocked his lack of stamina. They joked that he should have stayed quiet. Someone mentioned how his stomach had bulged out when he removed his blazer, openly calling him chubby, an old man trying too hard. That night, Tamaki stood alone in front of the mirror. He stared at his stomach, grotesquely protruding. He tried sucking it in, holding his breath, pretending, only to fail seconds later. The truth settled in painfully. His body had become a symbol of everything people despised about him. When his daughter Sana entered the bathroom and told him to leave so she could bathe, he hesitated and asked her if he really looked like an old man. She answered instantly and without mercy. Of course he did. Worse, she scolded him for shamelessly showing his embarrassing belly and told him to put some clothes on. Later that night, Tamaki noticed his wife was absent. When he spotted her phone lying on the bed, he saw a missed call from Iawa Rito, the same coworker from earlier. Confusion and dread gripped him. His wife had never mentioned Iawa before. When she entered the room, he awkwardly returned the phone, pretending nothing was wrong. They lay in separate beds, the lights turned off. Silence suffocating the room. Unable to endure it, Tamaki reached out and timidly asked if they could be intimate. Just once, like old times. Her response crushed him. She coldly told him to stop, saying he was no longer young and should just go to sleep. The rejection wasn't merely sexual, it was existential. Tamaki realized that in everyone's eyes, he was no longer desirable, useful, or even worthy of being acknowledged as a man. The next day at work, exhausted from sleeplessness, Tamaki was approached by a quiet coworker named Mizuki Isa. She was reserved, efficient, and distant, someone who rarely spoke but always delivered results. She asked him for help carrying a piece of equipment. When he agreed and attempted to lift it, his body failed again. The two lost balance and crashed to the floor. When Tamaki looked down, he realized he had pinned Asa beneath him, her shirt disheveled. What shocked him wasn't embarrassment, it was her physique. She was incredibly muscular, her body sculpted and powerful. Panicking, he apologized repeatedly, insisting he had no idea how her clothes had come undone. Asa ignored his flustered explanations. Instead, she calmly retrieved a hidden camera from the shelf and showed him the footage. The scene was recorded perfectly. Tamaki froze. She told him she had a request. That evening, she led him through a dark alley to a place called Hell and Muscle, a gym that radiated intimidation. Tamaki pleaded, claiming the footage meant nothing. No one would believe he had done anything wrong. But even he doubted that himself. Asa explained that a scandal, even a rumor, could destroy him as project leader. If he lost this role, he would lose everything. When Tamaki asked what she wanted, assuming it was money, she ignored him. Instead, she forced him into brutal training. Bench presses, squats, no breaks, no mercy. She corrected his posture, mocked his weakness, and pushed him far past his limits. She told him she had been watching him for a long time. His bone structure, his muscle shape, his potential. Though his body was undeveloped, she declared that he was her ideal type. Her goal, she explained plainly, was to train him into the ultimate body. And when that happened, she intended to sleep with him. Tamaki tried to escape, crawling away in terror, but she played audio recordings that could easily be misinterpreted. He had no choice. Training would take years. And so, his transformation began. The morning after his first forced training session, Tamaki awoke in agony. Every muscle in his body screamed. His limbs trembled as he shuffled into the living room, barely able to stand upright. Before he could gather himself, his wife rushed past him without concern, snapping that he was in the way. She told him she had no time to make his lunch, forbade him from eating out because it was expensive, and added that she would be coming home late again, meaning he would need to handle dinner himself. Their daughter passed through the room soon after. Her mother begged her to at least say something before leaving, but she ignored them both and walked out. Moments later, Tamaki's wife followed, leaving him alone in the apartment. The silence was overwhelming. As Tamaki attempted to stand, his legs gave out and he collapsed to the floor. Lying there, staring at the ceiling, memories flooded his mind. His daughter's disgust, his wife's indifference, his coworkers' ridicule, and the realization that even now, people only came to him when they needed something. Then he remembered Asa's words. She had said she would train him. Clinging to that thought, Tamaki forced himself back up. Later that day at work, a few female coworkers commented that he seemed unusually busy, wondering if he was simply a pushover who took on too much responsibility. When Asa approached him with completed reports, she said nothing more than necessary, placing the documents on his desk before walking away. Her cold efficiency was unsettling. Iawa Rito approached him shortly afterward, remarking on how distant Asa always was. He mentioned that despite her looks, she ignored any romantic advances and kept her private life hidden. Curious, Iawa asked whether Tamaki knew anything about her. Tamaki denied it, even questioning whether the events of the previous night had been real. Then his phone buzzed. A message from Asa instructed him to check the top right shelf of the equipment room during lunch. In the equipment room, he felt something placed into his hand. When he stepped outside, he realized Asa had packed him lunch. As he ate, he noticed how bland it was. Plain, flavorless food, clearly meant for muscle training. Despite its taste, he was grateful. At least someone had thought of him. From a distance, a shadow watched him. Back at the office, hunger lingered. He attempted to drown it with sweet coffee, but Asa appeared suddenly, causing him to spit it out. The drink had turned into hot water. She scolded him silently. Later, when Iawa offered him chocolate from a business partner, Asa intervened again, dragging him away and replacing the sweets with more prepped food. As the workday ended, Asa rushed out exactly at 6 p.m., and Tamaki followed. His coworkers noticed. Something was changing. Outside, she praised him for leaving work on time, though Tamaki was unnerved by how she seemed to know everything he did. She admitted she knew everything about him, and that was precisely why she would transform him personally. Without warning, she forced him into more training. She stepped on his stomach, twisted his abdomen, and explained she was loosening his fascia because his core was weak. Leg raises, crunches, planks. Each exercise pushed him to collapse. When he nearly fell onto her during a plank, she teased him mercilessly, warning him what would happen if his wife or daughter ever saw him like this. She counted down slowly, enjoying his struggle, before biting into his stomach and declaring she would reveal the abs hidden beneath his fat. That evening, Tamaki returned home to find dinner waiting, again prepared by Asa. When he considered pairing it with beer, his phone buzzed, forbidding alcohol. Moments later, his wife returned, startling him. She questioned the plastic container on the table, but he claimed he had made the food himself. Later, another message instructed him to take a long bath instead of showering. His wife noticed the message but accepted his excuse that it was from a subordinate. Still, suspicion lingered. After bathing, Tamaki examined himself in the mirror. He felt like a toy, controlled, monitored, reshaped. He wondered if he should confess everything to his wife, since technically nothing inappropriate had happened. That was when his daughter noticed the bite mark on his stomach. He panicked, apologized, and retreated to bed. His wife later noticed how early he had fallen asleep. As she turned off the light, an unblinking figure watched from outside. When she moved to close the blinds, the figure vanished, retreating upstairs. Asa lay in her apartment, surrounded by glowing monitors streaming footage from hidden cameras inside Tamaki's home. She watched him eat, sleep, and grow stronger. The next morning, Tamaki refused lunch prepared by his wife, claiming he didn't need it. Asa listened from above. A message chimed, instructing him to eat rice instead of bread, add natto, and consume citric acid to reduce soreness. His daughter complained about the change in breakfast, storming off angrily. Another message told him to take the stairs instead of the elevator. As his wife noticed crushed beer cans in the trash, she wondered how he could have done that. Tamaki was confused. He hadn't drunk anything. Determined to uncover the truth, Tamaki tried observing Asa at work. Each attempt to start a conversation failed. She responded efficiently, leaving no room for personal exchange. When he bought canned coffee, she ordered him to discard it. Finally, he confronted her in the pantry. Instead of answering, she poured the coffee down the drain and crushed the can effortlessly in her hands. She explained that bulking required strict dieting and discipline. Alcohol was forbidden. Only water and tea were allowed. His breakfast would change starting tomorrow. As they exited together, co-workers watched closely. That evening, their training intensified with deadlifts. Isa corrected his posture meticulously, demonstrating movements far too intimately. Though Tamaki protested, she insisted. Afterward, they showered together at the gym, where she shamelessly inspected his progress, declaring she had nothing to be ashamed of. At home, Tamaki's wife noticed the unfamiliar scent of shampoo on him. Her suspicions deepened when she found a strand of hair on his shirt. The next morning, Tamaki shocked his family by eating protein oatmeal and boiled eggs. He admitted he had begun dieting, motivated by embarrassment over his appearance. His daughter rejected his offer to share the meal, while Isa observed everything through her cameras. From that point onward, Tamaki's life began to change in ways even he struggled to understand. At work, his efficiency improved rapidly. He no longer drifted aimlessly through tasks, nor did he hesitate when making decisions. His growing physical stamina carried over into his demeanor, and before long, his co-workers began to notice. They commented on how busy he seemed, how his posture had changed, and how he carried himself with more confidence. That confidence was put to the test during an important presentation. Tamaki stood before his superiors, explaining project details with clarity and composure. When his boss questioned him about a missing section concerning a load test, panic briefly flickered in his chest. He had forgotten that portion entirely. But just as doubt crept in, a notification appeared on his laptop. Asa had already compiled the data and sent it to him. Without missing a beat, Tamaki presented the results. The meeting ended in success. His boss praised him openly, confirming that appointing him as project leader had been the right decision. Soon after, his subordinates gathered around him, congratulating him enthusiastically. Even Ayawa remarked that Tamaki had been looking surprisingly good lately and suggested holding a wrap-up party to celebrate. Later that day, Tamaki and Asa walked together through a nearby park. He thanked her sincerely for saving him during the presentation, but she dismissed it as merely part of her job. Still, Tamaki admitted that he had been feeling better than he had in years, and though he didn't say it outright, he knew much of it was because she had forced him onto this path. As they walked, Ayasa noticed something from the corner of her eye, a small kitten standing upright inside a cardboard box labeled "Take Me." Without hesitation, she made a phone call and announced that she would be taking the kitten to the veterinarian. Tamaki offered to accompany her, but she declined, stating she had already finished her work for the day. Before leaving, she told him she would attend the party later and not to worry about her. This small act of compassion unsettled Tamaki. He had always believed her to be cold and emotionless, yet here she was, quietly saving a helpless animal. Meanwhile, at Tamaki's wife's workplace, someone casually mentioned an office affair involving a middle-aged man and a younger actress. The comment made her flinch, panic spreading through her chest. Though the gossip had nothing to do with her, it planted a seed of fear. Later, alone at her desk, she searched online for signs of infidelity. The list was damning: going out more often, being constantly on one's phone, caring about appearance, sudden kindness, vague explanations, reduced intimacy. Tamaki matched every single one. Her heart sank. Determined to confirm the final sign, she resolved to initiate intimacy that night. That evening, Tamaki joined his coworkers at the wrap-up party. When someone asked about Asa, they were told she would arrive later. For a brief moment, Tamaki considered drinking beer, but Asa appeared instantly, intercepting him and handing him oolong tea instead. They spoke quietly. She informed him that the kitten was healthy and being kept at the vet. Tamaki praised her again, smiling warmly. As he looked at her, he realized just how kind she truly was. His smile lingered, and for the first time, Asa faltered, whispering that nothing was wrong. Before the moment could deepen, a man's voice called out her name. A muscular stranger stormed toward them, announcing that he had finally found her. He spoke passionately, claiming his body could not survive without her touch. As confusion rippled through the party, Asa stiffened. The man revealed himself as her ex-boyfriend. To everyone's shock, he began removing his shirt, flexing his body and declaring that she had trained him. He begged her to be rough with him again, his words filled with obsession and instability. Murmurs spread as people misunderstood his meaning, assuming something far more intimate. When the ex grabbed Asa by the arm and tried to drag her away, Tamaki stepped forward. He recognized the signs immediately. This man was just like him, a victim of her training. Tamaki placed himself between them, calmly urging the man to stop. When the ex noticed the calluses on Tamaki's hands, he sneered, accusing Asa of training yet another middle-aged man for her amusement. He hurled insults at her, calling her obscene names. Tamaki snapped. For the first time in his life, he threw a punch, striking the man square in the jaw and ordering him to apologize. When the ex retaliated, chaos erupted, and someone called the police. Later that night, Tamaki returned home injured. Ayawa mistakenly addressed Tamaki's wife by her first name while asking for a first aid kit, further confusing her. Asa stood silently at the doorway, watching. As Ayawa explained Tamaki's actions, his wife scolded him, only to be interrupted by Asa, who took responsibility, stating that Tamaki had merely been protecting her. When asked who she was, Asa introduced herself as Tamaki's subordinate and thanked him sincerely for everything he had done. That night, as Asa walked home, Yawa admitted he had gained newfound respect for Tamaki. He offered to walk her home, but when he turned around, she had vanished. Back at the apartment, Tamaki's wife prepared herself mentally to test him. She entered the bedroom and suggested intimacy, apologizing for rejecting him before. Tamaki was already fast asleep. Outside the window, Asa watched once more, confirming his injuries were minor. She thought about his words, how he had defended her, how he had said she was worthy of an apology. For the first time, doubt crept into her heart. Asa retreated into the night, but her thoughts refused to settle. For the first time since meeting Tamaki, she found herself unsettled by emotions she could not categorize. The following day, Asa sat alone in the office cafeteria, staring down at a meal she had prepared herself. Dried mackerel, spinach, natto, and rice. Normally, she ate alone, untouched by idle chatter. But today, her focus wavered. As she gazed at the fish, Tamaki's face suddenly appeared in her mind, shouting his demand for an apology. She blinked, startled, and dismissed it as imagination. When she mixed the natto, his face appeared again, this time smiling, praising her. Her composure finally cracked. Unable to eat, she pushed the tray away. Coworkers soon joined her, remarking on how unusual it was to see her in the cafeteria rather than with her usual bento. She explained awkwardly that she had forgotten to prepare it the night before. They laughed, assuming it was because of her ex-boyfriend, and shared stories of overthinking relationships themselves. The conversation shifted to Tamaki. They commented on how different he seemed lately, more confident, more reliable, even physically changed. Someone noted that his waist looked slimmer. Hearing this, Asa felt a sharp pang. Her goal had always been bulking, not slimming. If he was losing weight, then she needed to intensify his training. When another coworker casually suggested inviting Tamaki to lunch for diet advice, jealousy surged uncontrollably through Asa. In her grip, a dish shattered. The others stared at her in shock. She sat frozen, silent, her calm exterior finally cracking. Elsewhere, Tamaki exited the men's restroom at work, reflecting with mild satisfaction on how his digestion had improved. More importantly, he noticed he had lost weight. Though he was still under Asa's control, he wondered if he should feel grateful. Then a dangerous thought occurred to him. Asa had said she liked muscular men. If he lost enough weight and changed his body beyond her ideal, perhaps she would lose interest and release him. With that quiet resolve, he met her once more at Hell and Muscle. As they stood before the gym entrance, Asa thanked him for his patience. When they stepped inside, Tamaki was already stretching, greeting her with a relaxed smile and jokingly asking if she planned to bully him again that day. Her heart raced. Unable to respond, she turned away abruptly, slamming her back against the wall to create distance. Tamaki noticed immediately and asked if she was feeling unwell. She denied it, insisting they begin their workout. They started with bench presses. As Tamaki struggled near his limit, Asa stepped forward to spot him. The moment their eyes met, her composure collapsed. She froze, forcing him to rely on the safety bars. Without explanation, she turned away, claiming he seemed unwell and suggesting lighter dumbbell exercises instead. She handed him 15-pound dumbbells. Their fingers brushed. In a panic, she dropped the weights entirely. Tamaki, confused and concerned, demanded to know what was wrong. Asa avoided his gaze, abruptly ending the session and walking away. Tamaki watched her leave, troubled. For the first time, he felt genuinely worried about her well-being. Elsewhere, Asa sought out her younger sister, Ichigo, asking for advice, an act so rare it immediately alarmed her. Asa explained that her physical health was perfect, but her mental state had become unstable. Her heart rate spiked unpredictably. Her temperature rose when she thought of a particular person. Ichigo listened carefully before stating the obvious. Asa was in love. The realization struck like lightning. Unable to process it, Asa launched into intense exercise, exhausting herself completely. As she collapsed, clutching her chest, she wondered if this overwhelming sensation was what it meant to like someone.